Welcome back to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you live from the Singapore Fintech Festival, and joining me for the segment, we have Joe Lubin. He's the founder and CEO of ConsenSys, as well as the co-creator of Ethereum. It's great to have you with us on set, Joe. And tokenization and decentralized finance 2020 and beyond is a big topic here. How should enterprises and financial institutions be approaching this?
So tokenization has been a big part of the blockchain world since it was invented about 10 years ago and really picked up steam with the advent of smart contracts. So there are different kinds of tokens. There are natively digital tokens that have intrinsic value on the blockchain in and of themselves. So the Ether token, it's a token that pays for computation and storage on the platform. There are tokens for decentralized storage, decentralized bandwidth, heavy compute, etc. And that is exploding. At the same time, we have tokens on platforms like Ethereum that represent things out in the world, whether it's identity or things of value like real estate or diamonds or bottles of wine or luxury bags and shoes. And so that world is exploding. Also, a bunch of different companies, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance and some other protocols in the space got together to put together a token taxonomy framework and a token taxonomy initiative to essentially define in understandable terms what these tokens are, how the metadata that can represent them so that they can move fluidly across different protocols. And so we're going to have massive tokenization of so many things in our ecosystem, and it'll be really valuable. So Ethereum is a maximally decentralized network, and that's great for as much trust as you can bring into these systems, but we have Ethereum and other technologies enabling collaboration networks, so it brings trust to a situation, but not as much trust as a maximally decentralized network. It'll be really valuable to have loyalty tokens or tokens representing invoices or other kinds of elements on these networks.
I mean, in theory, you could tokenize anything.
Absolutely.
Right.
But it will be incredibly important to have a maximally decentralized network so that these tokens can flow through an information bus represented by Ethereum, or there will be a global settlement layer, again on Ethereum, so that the high value tokens can trade there and settle there and essentially not be subject to manipulation that you would get in a less decentralized system.
Now, ConsenSys, you just released the Singapore Blockchain Ecosystem Report. Are there any interesting insights from Singapore which other markets can adapt?
Yeah, so our Singapore team worked in collaboration with IMDA and Monetary Authority of Singapore and Temasek. 74-page report. Couple conclusions are there's 500 blockchain companies or companies focusing on blockchain in Singapore. It is expected, we projected that probably around $2.6 billion will be invested in the space by 2020. Singapore punches massively above its weight, and it's able to do so because it's incredibly organized, a lot of talent in the space, but it's also vertically integrated. So we've seen in different parts of the world where we have this top-down drive from government through the Monetary Authority, and so that is, I think, going to enable Singapore to continue to have tremendous impact in certain technologies, especially blockchain.
So what's your blockchain ecosystem stakeholders, industry players, what should they be looking at for 2020? I think everyone understands that the technology certainly does have practical applications, and we're starting to see that, especially through the report that you just did. There's actual empirical evidence to support that. What should they be looking at in 2020 and beyond?
Sure. So enterprise, so ConsenSys built infrastructure for the Ethereum ecosystem. Spend about 65% of our attention on that. We also make use of all these tools. We have our professional services consulting group, and so we build blockchain business networks, blockchain collaboration networks for companies, banks, central banks, governments. And you'll see a lot of that. it's really ramping up. Whether it's a corporation enabling lots of their infrastructure to be on these networks, treasury management, equipment management, loyalty tokens, or whether it's companies getting together on a collaboration network for a set of use cases or for their industry. That is going to be augmented in 2020. Ethereum public mainnet is upgrading itself. Ethereum 2.0 is the first phase of it will be released in early 2020, and it should be fully operational by the end of 2020. And 3 phases constitute essentially the full-ish release. And so we're seeing scalability coming to the Ethereum ecosystem. We're seeing privacy and confidentiality even on mainnet with different technologies. We're seeing usability. So the Wright brothers didn't think about bathrooms and meals and beds on an airplane as they were lying there on the wing at Kitty Hawk. And so we're moving really fast to make blockchain systems usable in the public context. We've had privacy, confidentiality, and scalability in the private permission context for quite a while, and now enterprises are going to be able to use public mainnet for their collaboration purposes very soon.
All right, amazing insight. Thanks so much, Joe, for joining us. And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.